Good evening, YouTube. In front of you, you see a image of Clarence Thomas, Associate Supreme Court Justice, and he's been on the bench for what, close to 14-15 years. And to be honest with you, I just don't understand this man. I was a little ticked off at him when he cast the recent votes that he did against the Affordable Care Act and also against gay marriage. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not really a big supporter of gay marriage, but I'm not against it either. I believe live and let live. If, you know, two people want to do whatever they want to do and it's not hurting anybody else, you know, God bless them, because, you know, they have to answer to him, you know, in Judgment Day, just like I have to answer to mine. But in the meantime, I'm not going to jump up and down and go crazy about what other people do, because obviously I can't control it. With that being said, I look at this man and I see a man who just doesn't recognize, number one, where he came from, and number two, what's going on with the country. Now, before I did this video, I looked up his history, and this guy came from very, very, very meager means. His mom and he were left by, I guess, his dad, and then his mom worked. You know, she's a hard worker. They lost their place of residence. They had to move in with his grandparents, and I guess it was around 5 to 7 years old. He experienced indoor plumbing for the first time, you know, and that's got to be a culture shock. His grandfather was a very hard-working man, but was not well educated, but had a strong sense of values, okay? And I had no problem whatsoever with his grandfather or his mother, though I don't know that much about her. But this guy couldn't really read until he hit high school. Now, take nothing away from him, because of his inability to read and his language barrier, because this guy was a Geechee from the South, and he really didn't come into proper English until high school. But he pushed himself and he accomplished a lot, enough so that he was able to enter Yale and graduate from Yale with a law degree. Okay, and that was through hard work. He, according to what I read, it wasn't affirmative action. It was basically his grades and him getting himself in there. So, you know, you got to take your hat off to him. Okay, after he graduated law school, however, when he went looking for jobs at law firms, you know, he was shot down like crazy, because people didn't believe that he attained all his prominence on his own merits. They thought that he was a person who benefited from affirmative action, and he's always had a hard-on about that. And as a matter of fact, he's even written that he's ticked off about affirmative action working against him, I guess. Anyway, you know, just skipping past all that Anita Hill stuff, which, in my opinion, he should have never been confirmed to the Supreme Court, and the Democrats should have done to him what the Republicans do to the Democratic nominees, especially Obama's. But that being said, you know, he was on the court, blah, 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 blah. I do not understand why he is so against gay marriage, because in reviewing all of his decisions and decisions that he's joined in on, I believe that he must be screwing Anton Scalia, or Scalia screwing him, because you can't see any daylight between the two of them. which is ridiculous. But I can probably get away from a lot of the stuff that he's done, but this is the one that I can't get away from. When the Supreme Court struck down Section 4 of the Voting Rights Act, they basically neutered the Voting Rights Act. Okay, because there was no longer any need for a state to get pre-clearance before changing their voter rules. And before the ink was even dry, you had states like Texas and North Carolina and various other states that were running in and changing the laws immediately. I read the majority opinion on this, and it made absolutely no sense. They reasoned that because the Section 4 formula, which there was a formula as far as, I guess, how many violations, etc., that a state can have in order to be on the list of pre-clearance, that the formula was out of date because it was originally constructed approximately 40 plus years ago, and they felt that it needed to be updated. And they said that they had given Congress an opportunity back in 2009 to update it, but they had not. Now, that might have been Obama's fault because he had Congress for 2 years. So you figure he had Congress for 2008 and all of 2009. And if they had paid attention, they could have restructured the formula for the Voting Rights Act so that the Supreme Court would not have had an opportunity to review it and kick out the formula. But even so, even giving that, just looking around the country, all he had to do was just to do a review to see how many states were attempting to change the rules for voting, and to see exactly which ones they were, and to see exactly which ones were on the list. And 2 and 2 equals 4. He should have realized that that act was still needed and Section 4 was still needed. But nope, he, Scalia, and Roberts being the head of the Supreme Court, took the other tack that because there hadn't been a whole lot of issues as far as voting rights were concerned because of the pre-clearance, that the pre-clearance was no longer needed. Now, what kind of bullshit that is, I can't understand. But as soon, like I said, as soon as they struck down Section 4, it was like free money raining from the sky, because all the states that were going to pull voting rights crap, they immediately all jumped in and did it. So in my mind, he going along with this, and it was a 5-4 decision, he going along with this was the worst decision that he's voted on in his history of being a Supreme Court judge. I cannot wait, and I know I'm going to have a long wait, and God willing, I'll still be here, but I cannot wait to get him off of this court, and the only way to do it is through death, illness, or straight retirement, and he's not old enough basically to retire, so we're going to have an issue here. But there looks like there's going to be about at least 2, if not 3, new Supreme Court justices elected in the next president's term. Hopefully, the 2016 election will allow the Congress, and specifically the Senate, to turn over so that it is once again democratically controlled, and that we can get some proper conservative justices in there, and maybe get some of this crap overturned like Citizens United, so we can get this campaign money out of the system, so that all these multimillionaires and billionaires can stop controlling our government, and maybe it will once again become by the people and for the people instead of by the people but for the rich. And maybe this fool will wake up and realize how much damage he's done, and hopefully start issuing some decisions that make sense for us regular people. Anyway, those are my thoughts. You guys take care and have a good day.